Welcome back. I'm your host, Kelle Sparta, transformational shaman, spiritual business coach. I'm here as always with my best friend in Boquete, Katherine Loranger. She's a spiritual business coach as well. And we are going to talk to you today about holistic hiring. And today is Are Your Ducks in a Row or Your Squirrels at a Rave? And so we're going to start a series today on hiring. We're going to do a 4-part series on hiring. And today is all about getting ready to hire someone on your physical team. We talked about metaphysical team last time. We're talking about physical team this time. And we're going to talk about the process of getting ready to hire someone. And the process for that is about getting your ducks in a row rather than running around like a chicken with your head cut off or a squirrel at a rave, right? And so the question is, how organized are you, right? What is your structure? And do you have a structure? Do you have anywhere written down all of the different platforms that you're using and what you're doing with each platform? Do you have anywhere written down what all your products are and what the price points are and what they are so that if somebody else had to answer questions on them, they could, right? Do you have operating procedures in place? Do people know how to onboard a new client? Do people know how to take care of whatever it is that needs to happen with a client? Customer experience. Is your customer experience journey set out? Is it written down anywhere? Do you even know what your customer journey experience is? Then that's another topic for us too. We should probably put that one down somewhere so that we can do that later. But all of these things, are you ready to hire somebody on? And then on top of that, do you have procedures in place for them? The worst thing you can do is hire somebody, be paying them for hours, and then spend the first 2-3 weeks having to write all of these procedures while you're paying them already, right? Katherine, why don't you jump in here?
Yeah. So what I usually do with my clients is in terms of this process is I have them actually track their time for a while in kind of increments, like 15-minute increments or whatever, to start to look at like where do they spend their time, what tasks are they doing, and then to start to identify what is the dollar value of those tasks. So if you are spending all your time on a $10 an hour task, you're never going to grow your business to the revenue goal that you want to grow it to unless it's like a $10 an hour business. So starting to really get clear on where do I spend my time? And then what are the things in my business that only I can do?
Yeah.
Only I can do. Then you can even make up an org chart, right? And at the level of fact, it might be that you're the one in all of those positions, but it starts to give you a visual representation of where you're actually starting to grow your business and build it. What is it that I'm filling?
Yes.
Then you can make your hire based on what are those low dollar value tasks that I can train someone. And here's the thing is you can even get them to write the SOPs. Like you can Loom it, you can Vimeo yourself doing it, talking through it, and then give it to them and then have them write it out. So you don't have to get bogged down and feeling like I need to like have it totally. And yes, you need your ducks in a row for sure, right? You need to know, okay, what are the things that they're going to do? What's the kind of like position description? What are the expectations? How am I going to, and we're going to talk about this. How am I going to supervise them? How am I going to make sure that they're trained properly to understand it? But again, like you can get bogged down mentally. And I see this in my clients sometimes and thinking I've got to have it all figured out first.
Right.
And yes, there are things that you need to have figured out first, but don't let the idea that it's got to be perfect before I hire someone, bring it on, or before I bring someone on. Slow me
Yeah.
down. Wow,
Yeah.
my brain just went to the rave with the squirrels. It's like fun. Let's do this.
Yeah. I want to jump in because the the Loom thing is super, super useful. Loom, if you don't know, Loom is a program that you can use where you can put a image of yourself inside a screen share. You've got a little circle with your face in it on the bottom of the corner, and you can record a screen share. Now, you could do this as a Zoom voiceover too. It just doesn't have your face on it. It doesn't matter. You just do a screen share and you record it. You record yourself doing the task and you
And
talk through it.
about it. Yeah, this
Yes.
is why I'm doing da-da-da. You can describe it. Yeah.
Exactly. You talk about it in detail, whatever, right? Now,
Mhm.
you can have them do the write up for you, or you could take it and feed it through AI and have
Mhm.
AI write it up for you. That
Yeah,
works as
that
well.
too. Yeah.
But I would absolutely give them the screen share too, give them the video, because that's often more useful than the written stuff.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
especially for the first time through, right? And
Mhm.
this is one way to get ready. The other way is to recognize that you need to prepare yourself for
Mhm.
getting ready, because if you are of the opinion that it has to be perfect or it's
Mhm.
all screwed up
Yeah.
and
Or
you
that
hand
you're
it
the only one that knows how to do it,
exactly,
right?
which, or it's going to take more work to train somebody than it is to just do it myself. It's yes, it
Mhm.
will. The first
Mhm.
few times they do it, it's going to take more
Mhm.
work than doing it
Right.
yourself. But
Yep.
then they will do it and you will never have to do it again. Yes, that is true. And you should still do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, And then the other piece is, how do I get ready to hire somebody? How do I find somebody who's good, right? And educating yourself on that. One, you need to decide what your values are, right? And you want to find somebody who mirrors your values, because if they have very different values than you do, you're not going to be a good fit. And by that, if they're aggressive salesperson type and you're magnetic, I love to welcome people into my space, that's going to be an energy mismatch, right? So
Yeah.
you need to know what your values are around your business.
But okay,
You,
so can I just jump in there?
yeah,
Because I think that so there's the values around your business. Yes, you need people to be in alignment with that. But
yes,
they also want to look at, okay, then what are my personal values and or beliefs and or patterns and ways of being? And then where am I maybe not like the most functional in my business? So if I'm not detail oriented, I want to find someone who values detail orientation to
yes,
take on certain tasks, right?
absolutely.
Don't you want to have the alignment in the core values in terms of your integrity, growth, honesty, like whatever those are. And you want to have people that complement where areas where you're it's just not your thing.
Right.
Hmm.
And you also want to make sure that you're not going to make them crazy. There are box people who like to know exactly what they're supposed to do every single day, the same thing all the time, makes them happy to have their box and if everything's organized, right? And those people work great if you are a good delegator and a clear communicator and you're not going to be changing things every 30 seconds. I am a change everything 30 seconds person.
Hmm.
And part of my thing is that I actually have two virtual assistants right now. I have one who is supervising the one below her. And she is my person that I give the insanity to, because I am a blah, let's do this, blah, let's do that. She is also my no person. She has absolute permission to say no to me at any given time around a new project, because she's the one that keeps me honest about staying focused, right? Because I always have these great ideas and I always want to do something new and bright and shiny. And she's, no, we're not doing that. And I'm like, but she's, no, she's, unless you can argue for why that is necessary, you can't have this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I know. And that's why I've tasked her with that, because I know I need somebody to rein me in when I get into my super creative, got to do 40 things thing. And so she's super useful for me in that direction. And then the person she's supervising is doing all the detail work, right? And so I have a tendency to be like, blah, do this and blah, do that. And she's been working with me for 4 years. So she can read my mind at this point. She knows what I mean when I say this. And so she goes and takes it and puts it into the assignment for the person working for her. And then that way I don't make the other person crazy by lacking detail or whatever. Know yourself,
Hmm.
because if you need somebody like Heather, and now I pay Heather a lot more money than I pay the other person, right? Because Heather is doing a much higher level job.
Yeah.
And so Heather is actually operating as my VP of operations effectively, right? Whereas this other person is a virtual assistant, right?
Mhm.
And they get paid based on that. And that person's actually hired out of the Philippines.
So
And
that's where that task, like getting
yes,
clear on the tasks that you're doing, the dollar value of the tasks, and then the org chart, like that
yes.
really helps with the clarity.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
when you need to know yourself, this is part of the getting ready thing. It's like, how do I communicate? How do I delegate? Do I suck at delegation? Do I need to work with somebody on that? Do I need to
Yeah.
sit down and figure out all of that? Am I of the opinion that if it isn't done by me, it won't be done the right way and I can't have anything go wrong and people will be angry and blah, blah. Let me tell you something. If you are in integrity and you are honest with people and you really care about them, they will put up with any amount of mess ups as long as you fix it. As long as it's not consistent over time, if you make a big mistake once every 3 years, nobody's going to care. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're making mistakes all the time because you're not bothering to fix it, then
Mhm.
they care.
That's
Right.
an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different issue. But if you're making a good faith effort to work with it, to make sure it's right, and you go, oh crap, I'm so sorry. Let me fix this for you. And oh, by the way, here, have this free little course that as a I'm sorry for the problem. If you have that to offer. If you don't, and I'm sorry is usually sufficient, right? The Prudential Insurance did a study probably 20 years ago now, and they said they did a survey of all their people, and they found that the people who had a problem that was resolved had a
Mhm.
better opinion of the company than people who never had a problem in the first place.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
need to not be afraid to make mistakes. Okay. As
Mhm.
long as it's resolved, people have a better feeling because they feel like you care. Because I think that's something that people go into a lot with this. The other thing I'm going to say is that if you are very busy and which is usually when you find you need an assistant, is when you're very busy, right? You're going to look at it and you're going to say, I don't have time to do this. You're already doing the task. Just record it while you're doing it. And it takes maybe 3 minutes extra to do the task because you had to go sign into something and set it up and hit the record button and whatever. But it really doesn't take that much extra time to record your tasks. And when you're really busy, you're going to be in most cases, and I take this all the way back to when I used to train real estate agents, right? Back in the 90s, all the way back to that. When you are the busiest, you are maxed out on your income. And you're going to look at it and say, I can't afford to hire an assistant because I'm already using all the cash I'm bringing in. But what you don't recognize is that the moment you hire the assistant, you now gain all this extra time. The first month will be a loss, right? The first month is going to be a loss while you get them trained up, while you get everything going, while you do that, maybe 6 weeks, right? And then after that, they're going to take over and your time will be opened up to sell more, to
Mhm.
make more money. And
Part of that is again knowing what are the high value tasks
yes,
that you and only you should be doing.
yes. And
Mhm.
so when you use that time properly, you will make back multiple times what you were paying out to that assistant, and you
Mm.
will leverage yourself into the next level of income. The other thing that I'm going to say is that I hired out of the Philippines for my second assistant. My first
Mhm.
assistant's in the US. And I did that because there's a value in that because I'm paying $7 an hour, right? And that is a really good pay. It's a pretty decent pay in the Philippines. I could have gotten help for as little as $2 to $4 an hour for people who were lesser experienced or who I would have had to train, right? And it's good money to them. That is its own thing. And so I went through onlinejobs.ph for that, and they offered a course called One VA Away, which was $97. And then he gave me a coupon code for 50% off. So what I'm going to do is I will put a link to the onlinejobs.ph in my show notes today, in the show notes today. And I will also include the coupon code. So you guys can get that 50% off. It's only $50 to take the class. It was so valuable to watch this
Great, great
class.
service. Yeah, it's a great
Super.
website. I've used them too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the course itself was amazing in getting me to understand the culture of the Philippines because you do need to understand if you're hiring out of the country, you need to understand the culture and understanding that like they have a 13th month that they get paid in the year for a bonus at the end of the year that's expected as part of their pay. So you have to account for that in your budgeting. And there's all these things that you need to understand about how to hire and what to hire and so on. And you can pay for the background check and things like that. It's $99 a month while you're hiring if you want the full service, right? Which I highly recommend because it's very
Yeah.
useful to be able to see the background and how many things they've applied for and all of that, right? And they've also got a way to track people and things like that, right?
Yeah. And their time and stuff. Yeah.
Time and stuff like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of these things. And so the process with this is it's time consuming to hire somebody. Like
Mm.
when I just hired this guy that I'm working with now, and I hired him because the person I hired before him worked for a week and then said, "Oh, I have a family emergency and I can't work for you anymore." And I was like, "What?" Because I was in love with her and I was like, "Oh, this could be great." And things happen, right? That's just the nature of the beast. And she quit in the middle of, I think I was in the middle of the Mamma Mia production at the time, and I was just like, ah. So all of these things, the timing was bad, but it happens, right? It was an extra month of interviewing people and so on, but I got better at it as I went, right? I got really good about going, nope, nope, and just being like, nope, this isn't going to work. But there's so many people to choose from.
Yeah.
I literally got hundreds of applications,
Yeah.
and there's not a shortage of people to choose from. And so I highly recommend that if you're going to hire an assistant, that you take a look at that particular
Yeah.
site because it makes it so easy and it's not expensive. And it's literally, I think I'm paying him, what is that? It's $680 a month or 650. I'm not sure, six something
Yeah.
a month. I'm
And
paying him
can I just,
weekly right now because
yeah.
that's the starting. I'm like, okay, we're going to put you on a temporary. I'll pay you every week until we're sure this is going to work. And then we'll put you on regular pay cycle. So, yeah.
And one thing I would say is actually when you look at things like onlinejobs.ph, it's a phenomenal site, amazing, talented people. Yes, it's going to take some work to find the right person, train them, all of that. But I would like highly recommend you start with that, looking at the dollar value per task, like tracking your time, and hire someone right frickin' away.
Yes.
Wait until you are maxed out in your time. Like hire someone now. It's so affordable, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's 5 hours a week,
Yeah.
you
I
can
mean, I
get,
got him as 20 hours a week and it's 600 and change.
yeah. So
Yeah.
hire someone right away because what that does is it gets your mindset into the place closer to where it needs to be to, and I'm assuming that you want to be growing a six-figure, multiple six-figure business.
Yeah.
It gets you into the mindset where you are that visionary CEO of your business.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are spending all of your time doing quote unquote, and I'm air quoting here, busy work,
Hmm.
where you're spending hours putting together the perfect Canva post or scheduling social media stuff, that is not high value activity in your business.
Yeah.
And you can train and delegate someone to do that so that you're then freed up to do the things that actually move the needle in your business that only you can do.
Absolutely. I think that covers what we wanted to talk about. Take a look in the show notes for that. And we will have that available for you along with the coupon code. And we will talk to you next week when we continue this process and doing the next step of the 4-part hiring piece that we're doing, series that we're doing here.
And can I
Yep.
just say that I think we need to reserve the right to have a fifth part. I feel like there's maybe like a fifth part that we
Okay.
haven't identified yet. So I think that's
Could
gonna,
be.
yeah,
All right.
four or more. Bonus, bonus one.
Bonus one, maybe. Okay. And don't forget that what you focus on is what you create, what expands, and what you intend is what you create. And so choose wisely. Yeah, I'll do this right eventually. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you next week.